There's 9:34. We're getting into our top stories that are hugging the headlines in and around the world. We're joined by Mike on the line who's going to assist us to further understand the crime against ride-hailing drivers. And if you haven't heard about this, so the crime against ride-hailing drivers has become an increasing concern when it comes to South Africa, particularly in urban areas like Johannesburg. The drivers for the services, such as your different entities of e-hailing, they often face the heightened risk because they transport passengers in unfamiliar areas and frequently at night as well. And sometimes they carry cash or they valuables in their vehicles as well. If there's ever a lesson I learned from the producer of the show, Gwen Siem, is that when you hop into an e-hailing service, right, the one thing you need to make known is that the driver doesn't know you and you don't know the driver. So that means you are both in a compromising state. You don't feel comfortable with the driver. The driver might not feel comfortable with you as well because they don't know what's going to happen. But nonetheless, let's speak to Mike this morning to assist us with this conversation. Let's get into your top story.
Top story on area code
0745779461. That's our WhatsApp line. Drop us a text or also send us a voice note. Otherwise, give us a call if you have any questions for Mike. That's 011-717-9881. And thank you so much for being with us.
How's it? Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Mike, this has been a long-growing concern in our country. What does this robbery tell us about the crime patterns, especially when we're zooming into West Surrey?
Yeah, look, this is a nationwide problem, and it stems from a lot of, how shall I say, ignorance and even illiterate people that's poor getting involved in what we call opportunistic and also in clicks and gangs in order to rob people, especially overseas people that come to visit and need a ride, especially through Uber even and Bolt and the other names. They get a job there and they many a times aren't properly vetted and evaluated. And they rob the people or they themselves get robbed. So it's both sides. The very taxi driver, I will refer to all of this now as a taxi. Anybody that's being taxied can be robbed by the very driver of the taxi, or those that has ordered the taxi can rob the taxi driver and his vehicle. So they identify the vehicle, and if they can quickly steal it and chop it and sell it as parts, they'll do it. And this is where I say where illiteracy and poverty comes in, because it's that desperate levels and it's opportunistic. But the more sophisticated criminals are those ones that identify and they make more of it. They would, for instance, take the driver and empty all his bank accounts, take the vehicle as well, also maybe beat him up and even kill him. And it could also be a planned attack. There are many forms of crimes that can be committed in the field of taxi, either by the drivers or drivers involved, or by those that are being assisted and being taxied.
So I have reason to believe, especially after the death of a gentleman, I think it was in a stand to be corrected, I think it was in Soweto as well, where we've seen similar incidents. That's just one of the few that we can borrow from. But there has been new regulations under the South African National Land Transport Amendment Act. Are these helping, assisting in any way to mitigate some of the e-hailing crime activities that we get to experience? They say that drivers must have the specialized operating license under criminal checks as well, the display of branding, and also to install panic buttons in the vehicles as well.
Yeah, look, this should have been done since day one. Some of the worst criminals is in the underworld, in the taxi industry. You've heard many a times, the listeners have heard many a times when a hitman is wanted, they would go to the taxi gangs. So at that stage already it should have been addressed. It wasn't. It's been left, and it's going to be very difficult to catch up. And you must also understand, all of this is going to cost extreme money from both sides, from the government side and any other safety and security industries, as well as those that wants to service the public or get involved in it. But here's the ideal thing that needs to happen. From the driver's side, from those who have taxis and are concerned that their vehicle might be stolen or that they might be attacked, they should go out of their way to be constantly in a monitored situation. In other words, they should have proper 360 monitoring by a security company. Panic buttons, works in a way if it's in an area where, people will come out. But if you press a panic button in Westbury, the people is going to jam to the sound of the panic button. They're not going to come out. So, but panic buttons can be, because it can just identify, and obviously the lights of the vehicle should go on as well. But the most important thing is to prevent the vehicle of being stolen with the driver is that the vehicle shuts off. And if the security company or whomever is monitoring the driver sees that the driver is in distress or there's a crime in progress, then the vehicle is digitally and electronically switched off, not by the driver, by the institution. And that's how vehicles nowadays are being found back, which is not being paid for. That industry is growing, and it's becoming all the more the narrative that if you buy a vehicle and you don't pay for it, they switch it off, and then they go and fetch it. So that must be done and implemented. And then obviously on the other side, if a guy wants to drive a taxi or an Uber or whatever, he needs to be fully registered. We get more cases of inverted commas, Uber drivers that robs people and overseas people. They call an Uber driver and he comes there and, it's a big schlep then to follow up, and then you have a problem with the Uber or other institution or whatever it is, and they say, but this is the information we have of this person, but this person has now disappeared. And they do once-offs, and they do it at many places, and they do false identifications. They do identity thefts. They do all of it in order for you, as a rich visitor in South Africa, once identified, that they are Uber. And they convince them very quickly. And they're very presentable, but once they have them in the car, it's a huge problem. So on that side, any person that is supposed to taxi must be fully registered, proper vetted and evaluated, and a thorough identification, evaluation, and risk analysis of his CV and of his qualifications must be done. If that's not done on both sides, this will never go away.
Mike, thank you very much for your time and your insight this morning. It's been great having a chat with you.
Thank you. God bless. All of the best.
Thank you. And that is Mike Bolhake, crime expert, speaking to us on some of the difficulties that ride-hailing drivers are facing on the roads, especially zooming into Westbury, where it's located in the northern western part of Johannesburg.